Who's actually going to get the most out of a Skutt KM818 kiln? Who could safely walk away? And does the price make sense for someone who just wants a reliable tool for everyday glass projects? If you're on the fence, you're probably wondering whether the extra features are real game changers or just nice-to-have extras that will sit unused. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Most of the hesitation I see from people new to fused glass comes from two places: the fear of overpaying for a kiln that's more complex than they need, and the worry that a big kiln will sit half-empty in a small studio. Those concerns are valid because a kiln is a long-term investment. You're not just buying a piece of equipment. You're buying the ability to turn ideas into glass art for years to come. Skipping the research and just grabbing the cheapest model can lead to uneven heating, wasted material, and a lot of frustration when a piece cracks or a crystal formation never shows up. The KM818 sits in a sweet spot of the mid-range market. It's a 240-volt, single-phase unit that offers a little over 2.5 cubic feet of interior space, which translates to roughly a 20-inch square opening. That size is big enough to handle a standard 88-inch glass plate with room to spare for multiple layers, but it's still compact enough to fit on a typical workbench or in a modest studio corner. The easy view door and the optional shelf kit make loading and unloading feel less like a chore and more like a quick step in your workflow. If you're a hobbyist who already has a basic kiln and is looking to step up to more advanced projects, think slow cool cone 6 glazes, intricate crystal growth, or multi-stage firing programs, this is the machine that will let you do it without having to buy a whole new setup. The balanced elements design spreads the heat evenly, which is a huge advantage when you're trying to avoid hot spots that can ruin a delicate piece. The ability to write up to 32 separate firing segments means you can program a slow cool ramp for crystal work, then jump straight into a rapid cool down for a second piece, all without having to manually adjust controls between runs. On the other hand, if you're just getting started, you might find the KM818 a bit more than you need. The learning curve for programming 32 segments can feel intimidating if you've only ever used a single-step kiln. For beginners, a simpler, lower-priced model that offers a single ramp and a basic cool-down can be a gentler introduction to the process. Also, if your studio space is truly tight, say, you're sharing a garage with other crafts, or you only have a small tabletop, the footprint of this kiln plus the shelf kit could be a limiting factor. One of the most common real-world scenarios I've heard from studio owners is using the KM818 to create fused glass tiles for a custom backsplash. They load a stack of 88-inch tiles, set a program that holds at 1500 F for a few minutes, then slowly cools down through the stress relief zone. Because the elements are balanced, the tiles come out uniform, and the easy view door lets them peek at the progress without opening the kiln and ruining the temperature curve. The result is a set of tiles that fit together perfectly, no warping, no cracking, something that would be a nightmare with an uneven heating source. Another practical use case is working on glass jewelry pieces that require a controlled crystal growth phase. Artists often need to hold a specific temperature for a long period to allow crystals to form, then drop the temperature quickly to lock them in. With the KM818, you can set a long soak at the crystal growth point, then add a rapid cool-down segment, all programmed in one go. The consistency of the heat and the ability to store that program for future runs mean you can reproduce that exact look across multiple batches without retweaking the settings each time. Now let's talk strengths that matter day to day. The balanced elements system isn't just a marketing phrase, it actually reduces the typical hot spot issues you see in cheaper kilns, which translates to fewer ruined pieces and less wasted material. The Easy View door is a practical time saver. You can watch the glass melt and change color without opening the door and losing heat. The optional shelf kit gives you a second level for stacking, effectively doubling your usable space when you're working on smaller pieces or want to fire multiple small items in one cycle. And the 32-segment programming is a real productivity boost for anyone who runs varied projects. No need to manually reset the kiln between each different firing schedule. On the downside, the power draw is noticeable. At 27.8 amps, you'll need a dedicated circuit or a reliable 240-volt outlet, which can be a hurdle in older homes or shared workshop spaces. The kiln's weight also makes it a bit of a beast to move once it's set up. If you ever need to relocate, you'll need at